That's really fascinating because this presents a very interesting third vertex, if you call it, because Shoonya is in hibernation, Oddbird has shut, and here you're talking about a community coming together, which actually was not directly related to Gati, but you've come in together as a group of people and kind of revived, kept it alive. So I think that's a very fascinating story for everyone to kind of know about. So you've revived one space of performance of creation, but you also referred to a lot of people who've not performed anything, and there is also a big risk of people kind of falling off this circuit of creativity because there is an urgency of just surviving. And that's where this question comes up. Like Maya, you talked about life and art. Is there really a divide? There isn't, but for some people it becomes a question of survival, and then they say, no, now I need to just figure out where my next meal is going to come in from. And again, bringing this question back to Manjari, what you guys have done with, I hope you guys give it a name very soon.
No, it's called Khuli Khitli.
Okay. Wow. That's lovely.
I was just thinking yesterday, what has happened to Gati since I heard that the MA was not continuing anymore.
We do want to really sort of put the word out there so that more people can also use the space.
So we can bring our own paranthas and...
yeah, we're also like looking for donors.
So I think that's a wonderful contribution to taking care of perhaps people who can't pay but maybe need the space, of keeping them within the circuit. And what Maya was referring to, keeping the whole thing alive, of staying alive and not getting overwhelmed. Of course, it's been extremely difficult. Most of us haven't faced anything like this in our lifetimes. So this is one of the greatest challenges which are still within. It's not even like we've gone past it. But Thommen, you already have this initiative of pay what you can, right? And then with what Maya has already proposed, if it can be kind of propagated even further and said that, you are needed. I think that message is very important for not just artists, for anybody, any human being, because we are essentially creative at the core of everything. That you are needed, that you are wanted. If that kind of a message is kind of sent across, I think it would be like really amazing, because otherwise, like what Neelamji said the other day during her conversation, like what are we looking at numbers, fudging of numbers and stuff. Oh, aaj to sirf 4 log mare. I mean, 4 families have been destroyed. What about that? This is where we are actually confronting the scenario as to you're wondering, does my life really matter? Does a life really matter? And I think, Manjari, what you guys have done and what Thommen you can probably do with making Shoonya available or these kind of spaces available, because we need to kind of say it out that art matters. It's whether you call it essential service or not, that doesn't matter. But the fact is that we have to create. That's part of our survival. Maybe some ideas on that as to how do you get people to feel valued. The sense of self-worth, how do we offer it to everyone? I mean, this has been a beautiful opportunity for me. All of you agreeing and participating in the conversation has been brilliant for me. I mean, I can only thank my stars. I feel so lucky that we are able to have and create this space and share stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I also want to say, Manjari, I think it's awesome, especially given in the context of the last year and a half to come together and create that. The power of community to collectively give everyone this awesome space, which otherwise no one would have. And yeah, to Siddharth, to your point of, Shoonya would love to be that space for many more people as well. To the point about sort of telling the artists you are needed. And I mean, honestly, my challenge with this is it's a little difficult as a space to tell the artist, come and do something. Almost to kind of make demands on the artist to come and do something for the space. No, I mean, at this point, the way I've seen it is within whatever we can do to support, we will definitely do. It's been a struggle to figure out what more we can do as a space, beyond just opening it up and saying, please use it. And I guess the big challenge is the finances. The way we've seen it is, are there ways that we can facilitate a greater financial revenue for artists? We haven't, because the only way that we could in the past was through workshops and performances and the traditional sense of the word. But yeah, now how do you redefine that? And it takes a certain creativity and a initiative which unfortunately so far we have not been able to muster. But to Maya's point, and Maya, I would love for us to continue this conversation and see how we can involve more artists in this process, because I do feel that it should be an artist-led process. It's difficult for me to say, please do this or do that. I think as a space, all we can do is, here's the platform. We're giving it for free right now, and we have for the last year and a half. What would you like to do? But with an idea like this, we'd love to support it and we'd love to run with it. And sort of a general call out to anyone who wants to work with Shoonya. This is what we can offer right now. But in terms of what can the artist do? I mean, how can the artist leverage Shoonya as a space and use it as a jump off point to engage, whether it's online or engage in other ways? I don't have the answers, but we'd love to support in whatever way we can.
Another thing that is coming to my mind is, again, from what Maya has already proposed and what Manjari and group of friends have done, and you being there in Bangalore, what I already mentioned about creating this network. And it need not be a propaganda, it need not be a huge announcement or advertisement or whatever, but through the word of mouth, just make it known to people that these are the places and they are available for whatever a basic, just to kind of take care of the basic costs. Whenever you are in the town, whenever you are in the city, if you have time at hand, it would be lovely to have you over and create something. I think that could be this soft approach, because it's not concrete. It's just a network of people. It's a network of places. And I think that would be something worthwhile exploring.
Just listening to all of you, there's some things that are coming to mind. One is around teaching. Now, teaching is a very formal word, and we use teaching in the context of school or college or university. But maybe pedagogy, something where it's designed for an education, that the group of people who are part of it, whether it's a teacher or the participant, everybody is going to get educated, if we put it like that. Now, here's an example. Like you did this conversation, you've really gone ahead and done it, Siddharth. I was thinking, as a theatre person who's been in the field for so many years, how can I use the lockdown time, and because of the sheer facility of Zoom, can I one-on-one bring in different people who I know and do half an hour, 40-minute slots that have a pedagogical aim to them, yeah? So that I'm sitting with Neelam or I'm sitting with Rustam or whatever. And so I still have that in mind. But I'm thinking, when I think of a space like Shoonya, and I'm thinking how we then change the notion of teaching. Now, for instance, one is, of course, what I had in mind was that we get people who understand digital technologies into a Shoonya space along with us, you know. I'll send you the link if you like. I just saw a really good online performance. Very minimal digital technology used, but how brilliantly. And it also told you that this needs not only an understanding, it needs a practice. You have to be able to practice it.
Right.
So so it's called the Town Hall Affair. Very simply, they've taken on a very controversial meeting that happened around feminism, discussions on feminism. So that is playing on a screen at the back. In front is a table, much like the table in the screen, and real performers come and sit at the table. So you kind of duplicate what's happening on the screen right there, and it's shot in a place like Shoonya, in a theatre space. Sometimes there's a complete matching of what is happening on the screen and what's happening around the table. Sometimes these people, because they're real performers, they then take. It was so,
Lovely.
sometimes the simplest that is mind blowing. You mustn't
Yeah.
get complicated. And then they do a fabulous thing, which I don't know how to do, but I need to be in a space like Shoonya along with another. So here's what I'm proposing. One workshop can be about you pick up 5 good, really good online live shows, theater, call it what you like. But it's a mixture of digital technology, of human bodies, of images, of sound, that all of them have come together to produce this, what was purposefully an online show, not something recorded.
Right.
Okay, we pick up here's an idea. I mean, I'm just speaking again from the top of my head. We pick up 5 or 6 of those. 3 or 4 people get together. This is very important, to plan a session without knowing really kya hoga. We're doing it for the very first time in our lives. 3 or 4 people get together to give it a basic skeletal framework. You start with 5 pieces to watch. I mean, these 4 or 5 people watch it. They think, break it down in terms of who are the kind of expertise, what's the kind of expertise we would need to begin to open this up for a participatory group of people who would come together in Shunya. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah. Now, I'll tell you a device that they were using which was just so brilliant. I mean, it's amazing. So you're seeing this white table, I think it was white, and these 4 or 5 people sitting behind the table, and suddenly there's an invisible line, a vertical line, and this person who got up from this table, she kind of moves to this line, and the screen just moves off like that. I mean, it was mind blowing.
Beautiful.
So the person who was sitting at the end of the table just suddenly floated off, and this person who was walking towards the line, she just occupies that entire space there, and then she just sits there, and she becomes like a theater performer. She has lost connection with that conference table. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a somebody who understands, but these digital wallas sitting in their territory, they don't know the creative possibilities of this.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You need that collaborative
Yeah, it
perspective.
comes from collaboration.
Coming together.
Thommen, what you need is a rapporteur, somebody who's sitting and making notes of all these meetings, because it must be feed into the next one. What is happening in the session?
Yeah.
What is the kind of synergy that's happening in the session? This and for instance, if you choose one of them, let's say that's based on a historical Robert Clive something, then maybe you're having a historian or an anthropologist or a sociologist also sitting there and say, this is a possibility. This is a possibility. I think it would need identifying some digital people earlier on so that they have something to think about before they get there. Because on the spur of the moment, for them to respond is damn difficult.
Yeah.
They've not done it before, this live situation.
Yeah.
So to identify, and the first time, second time, third time, there'll be plenty glitches, plenty times of us falling on our face and saying, what the hell are we up to? But I can tell you, we will take away one hell of a lot.
Yeah.
You're looking at 5 good live things as a diving off point.
Right.
The second thing I want to say is, I'm talking about a discussion format now. You know, we've all been to live events where there's a round table, and there are people sitting around a round table, and then there's a huge audience around it.
Yeah.
And these guys are talking, and we are like 200 people watching them talk to each other. Then sometimes the floor is thrown open, and then we can ask questions. Now, again, we are all missing being together. And we don't have to be together in millions. 4 or 5 of us, or 6 or whatever, it's a round table situation. It's a round table. There's no table. It's a space, and there are 5 chairs, or maybe some people are standing. And we've got a common theme between us.
Yeah.
And we are all teachers of a certain, teachers or sharers, or call it what you like. I mean, for me, I don't like to define anything now. And we've got a theme. The theme could be, I don't know, I don't know why food is stuck in my head now. I'm not hungry. I'm
It's
not
good.
at all hungry. We are teachers around, but we are sharing life. Now, I don't mean improvisation because non theatre people don't know what improvisation is. There are a lot of theatre people who don't know, yeah, Manjari, who don't know what improvisation is. Because they come from a background where you get a text, you learn your lines, and then some director will block you. There are people like that, definitely. And I'm not denigrating at all because they're just different processes. But I know that if 4 or 5 people were to pick up a theme and do a little bit of homework around it and then come together in a space like Shoonya, and this is shot with 2 cameras or 3 cameras, and then it's edited and then it's posted.
Yeah.
Arey Baba, I'm sure over time, but it'll be another way of making teaching live. And I want to throw in this as well. We've got to now start to link up institutionally in different ways. I mean, sitting in Bangalore is IFA.
Yeah.
IFA has just announced 4 or 5 different grants. One of them is seminars, workshops, and it's not too bad money. It's seed money. It can get us pay some essential bills.
Yeah.
Yeah? And I think there's an inventive way of looking. I'm only saying IFA. Maybe there's a possibility. Universities are very stuck up, but I'm saying they're private institutions. They're, where you were teaching, Siddharth, that design school. I'm talking about smaller institutions like that, where you say, we are doing something that's around teaching, that's around themes. Can we send you something that your students can respond to? And so you create a kind of link up with teaching places.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line also with funding sources.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does make a lot of sense.
But we need organizers. Siddharth looks like an organizer. Thommen looks
True.
like an organizer of a kind. But everybody is feeling a little hesitant about jumping in there and
Jumping.
saying, oh, I'll organize those initial 4 or 5 people who will brainstorm about what should be done. Then it'll be taken to the next phase where those 4 or 5 people have a slightly wider circle. And then we get into that space and then we identify these people. We give them tasks to do at home and then we meet there. Ye sab organizing hai. But you know what? I've learned this the hard way. I am no manager, I'm no production manager, but I've had to manage all these wretched shows that I've done for 35 years because I never spend the time looking for someone. So I'm looking at you, Siddharth, and I'm looking at Thommen, and I'm saying, if we think of 1 or 2 other people, I'm sure we can put our heads together. I'm a lousy organizer, but I know when I sit together with people, it draws something else out of me.
Yeah.
In fact, Manjari is also an organizer. She runs a place now.
Exactly, exactly. Manjari is probably the best amongst us.
Really.
No, really, it is so.
There's also 29 other people. Yeah.
ये humility है ना नहीं चलता है when you have to get out there and become an organizer.
I think push comes to shove, and all theatre makers have that ability of doubling up as a lights person and stage manager and everything else that's required of the art.
What you also mentioned, Maya, is this, like you said, you don't want to define anything anymore. And you're talking about education and learning, and you're also talking about how not only that we need to collaborate, but we also need to kind of straddle different disciplines, different areas.
Absolutely.
You call yourself a bad manager, but you had to do it when, like what Manjari said, when push comes to shove. And I'm just wondering, my background is in architecture, but I've done so many other things. I keep doing so many other things. We are all responding to the situations in a particular way and kind of moving on, and not just moving on, but creating. I'm just wondering, how do we look at education today?
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, education still seems to be going into the direction of creating silos and specialists and this, that, and the other. Where actually, if you just turn around and look at the past 1.5 years, you can't just keep creating jobs because it's not enough. That's not what is going to help, right? And it's only people who've been able to adapt and do many more different kinds of things who are not just surviving, but maybe also they are in a position to help others.
I've been teaching, visiting faculty at Ashoka last 2 terms. In the last term, I don't know how it happened, but from the very word go, the material, the approach, the aim, the everything was brand new. And I think it was, and I really enjoyed the Zoom construct of these little boxes. Luckily, I had only 11 students. And it's so strange that the material I chose to peg the whole class on, and it was some 15 classes, was something picked up online. I picked up a piece of information, an event, and I found it online. And then to break it up, I'm taking the cue from you, Siddharth. Now, we pre-pandemic, we were using the category of theatre making or play making, if you like. But now I'm thinking making in this sort of scenario can have a wholly differently exciting. Again, I'm going back to, you see, somebody like a Rustam who's a dramaturg, somebody like an anthropologist. Again, it's about you share a theme, you call a bunch of students. We are all sitting together on Zoom there with them. We paint a picture for the students. It's 5 o'clock in the morning, it's that particular well in the village. And each teacher coming, depending on where they're coming from, they introduce and they provide, add to the image.
Yeah.
The brick of that well is made like this. Then comes this woman. So then it's contributory teaching, and this kind of Zoom focus. It's something about this, it really draws you in terms of its concentration. Of course, there's fatigue. We're all going cross-eyed now with this damn Zoom or this thing. But I think there's a very inventive, I did this in class, which was to say, okay, guys, flip your thing down and I only want to see your chest.
Hmm.
And now there's no face, and I want to, then you give them some kind of instruction which makes it damn difficult for them to suddenly bring their hands here, because you can't take anything for granted. And so then what is it, and how does something come in and go out? It was so to fragment the body and to make the brain even more ye main kya karne wali hoon, and all this anticipation can be just as exciting as having to go on stage in the next 5 seconds.
Hmm.
I mean, I used to get butterflies in my stomach when I had to start class in the morning with these guys. Kaise hoga? Kya hoga? But it's collaborative teaching,
Hmm.
and it's also live. Again, the great advantage of we are all sitting in different places, but we come together on this 13-inch screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of the key of what can be exciting in teaching.
Hmm. Yeah.
And the teacher doesn't know it all. In drama and education, we say the teacher doesn't know it. She's just making the possibilities of education possible. That's great use of drama in the classroom. So this online teaching will be that. I don't know it all. I have the information as an anthropologist. How to now rephrase it and bring it here is
Right. There's also this possibility when you say all these, everybody in a given session is from different places. And I was talking about the sense of self-worth. If you can really start paying attention to where somebody is and ask them about it. And I'm actually seeing my kids have joined a new school and they are a little sensitive to things, and starts raining. It's been raining past few days and the kids are really excited and they start turning their laptops and showing outside the window, and the teachers also participating with them. He's saying it's unfortunately we are online. If we were in school, I would have given a free period right now. And they were like, oh, damn, why are we doing this online? And she said, no, I'll give you a 10-minute break just before we are about to finish. You can all do whatever you feel like for the last 10 minutes. So there is this, again, this scope of bringing where they are into the conversation.
yeah. What Manjari was talking about, mental health is one of the biggest issues right now hitting us.
Yeah.
It is exponentially rising all over the world. And the arts are damn good at addressing it.
Yeah.
How do these two things come together? It's worth thinking of.
Yeah.
It's coming up in an, if I'm, Manjari, correct me if I'm wrong, in an itinerant way. Some people are coming together and trying out something, and I don't know enough about it. I'm not a drama therapist. You see, the arts need to come together with other things.
Yeah.
We can't do too much skills training on Zoom.
Hmm.
I can't do a warm up on Zoom. So forget about thinking about dance and theater for themselves
Mm.
in the way that we taught them in the real world.
Yeah.
You know, when I get into class with they're not performers, they're actually BA students who are doing theater as a subject. You know, I just do this jumping jack exercise, which is standing and we all jump and we all clap. I mean, which class 3 students do with their teacher? But kya kare? All you want is those students warmed up and the blood rushing around before they start getting into some improvisation. Because I don't have a live situation. I can't make them lie down. I can't touch their bodies. I can't, the sense of the real life. Acha, chodo, it's not happening, but there are other things that can happen. I'm also saying, Siddharth, that having dived into this, you'll have to do a second round.
Follow up.
Follow up, which is about putting together groups of people.
The challenge that you're throwing at me is very daunting, of course, but very promising as well.
We started out with Siddharth Singh. I'm going to show clips of
I know,
none of
nothing
that
happened. No clips.
But those clips are to prod the conversation. We didn't need them. And I think, Maya, you are the one to be credited over here, because I think you brought in so much exuberance, so much excitement, and it's infectious actually. And I might seriously consider your offer of taking a second round of these conversations further.
And I'm offering myself for in any way you want to draw me into second round. And I'm speaking for the others on this panel. They're also, huh?
We are happy to.
I'm agent for someone in Boston and someone in Gati, and they pay me, and they will also be drawn in.
Yeah, definitely.
And we will
Maybe
think
that-
about whether we want to engage you, Siddharth. Acha, can I understand all this laughter and us just being facile here? All this you're going to post online for the whole
Yeah.
world to watch.
Yeah. Most of it is going to be there.
Let's crack some dirty jokes, Manjari, so that let's
Post
make
some
it a little
editing.
worth their while at least.
Oh, okay.
I didn't think we would survive an hour and a half.
Longer.
Went in a brief.
Yeah. It's too much of this staring at the screen.
Yeah, fatigue is real. It's true.
I start shutting down. I'm like a Windows
Yeah,
system.
I do too actually. This is Siddharth's signal ki chalo, wonderful.
I don't want to take chances with you, Maya.
I may not leave at all. I won't leave. Just leave the meeting, nahi hoga.
Post has to end the meeting for all.
So thank you so much. I think it was wonderful. Thanks to you, Maya. Thommen,
Thank you, Siddharth.
Thommen, really thankful that you could take time out in spite of your
Thank you.
being where you are and being a little preoccupied. But thanks a lot for being part of these conversations. And Manjari, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your story about Kuli Khidki. Very
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah. I want to be invited.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, of course.
Yes,
I will
we-
come. I'm not practicing no lockdown. And Thommen,
Come,
you are
come.
not going to become a Bostoner, okay? You're going to come back and take charge of Shoonya.
Very shortly.
Okay.
All
Done.
right.
Thank you for organizing, so that's
Thank
wonderful.
you. Lovely.
Thank you for this.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.